folks. Thank you for joining us. This is Ken Hovind in Pensacola, Florida. Thank you for your live here on our truthradio.com radio broadcast. It's going to be with you Thursday, December 17th. Or day 3, if you're listening on the 17th, it is live. If you are on it's not 17th, then hopefully you'll share live, but the program isn't like that. So now we'll be here in just a few minutes. That's got a couple of phone calls he's making. We're doing that program. We're talking about the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate. And the evolution theory is one of the dumbest and most dangerous ideas in the history of the world. It didn't happen, okay? What a dumb idea. We all came from a rock 4.6 billion years ago. Hey, that's what they believe. Okay, I respect their right to believe that. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's, they're going to be real, they're going to feel real dumb for all of eternity, you know, if they're getting fooled for something like that. But hey, that's okay. You can believe what you want. But I don't mind if they believe that. I do resent, though, them using my tax dollars to pay for that religion to be taught in the textbooks. Now, that we do resent. Let me share a few testimonies and give a few announcements here. Then we'll get started here, get some of the housekeeping done. The Creation Seminar Conference, we have a Southeast Creation Seminar coming up this September 17, 18, 19. You ought to come to that. Pensacola, Florida. It's our first ever and hopefully first annual Southeast Creation Conference. We're going to have Dr. Carl Baugh come, my good friend from Glen Rose, Texas, who's on TBN every week with his program Creation in the 21st Century, and lives right in Glen Rose, Texas, where the footprints are found. Been doing research for a long time on the creation evolution topic. We're also going to have Jack Colazo come, who is an expert on the Neanderthals and the hoax about the Neanderthals being misinvented. And we'll have Dennis Swift, one of the world's experts on the Inca stones, and how you grew dinosaurs and humans together on the same stone. All right, so if you want to join us for the conference, you can call into our office here in Pensacola. It's 850-479-DINO, 850-479-3466. And you can be on the program today. Should the phone lines and everything else working? We're willing to all work back. It'll come the last couple times, but call in and be on the program. Or go to our website, drdino.com, DRDINO.com, where we will, you can go to the Creation Science Hour link on the front page and get to us that way. Let me read a few testimonies that Rita, my secretary, who does nothing but email all day long, and still can't keep up sometimes. So if you email us, I apologize, folks. It's a blizzard here of email. So we do get to it eventually. Just hang in there. It's much quicker to call. We need us just call on the phone. We take phone calls all day long, too. Here's a testimony from Tim Watts, who writes in. I just want to say thank you for your ministry. Your scientific knowledge is astounding. My dad has been making a lot of tapes, and people are now seeing the light. The light of the world, that is. The church I attend, First Baptist Orange City, Florida, has a targeted discipleship ministry going, and I'm trying to get your videos shown. Because too many Christians believe God created us through evolution, and that's wrong. It discredits all we believe. I agree, Tim. I agree. He said, I want to thank you, and I'll keep praying for you, everyone involved in the ministry. With love, Tim Watts. Okay. Here's Morgan, F-O-A-R-D, Ford. I guess you pronounce that. Let me turn Eric's speaker down here. After him coming across. Morgan Ford writes in. Hello, Dr. Hovind. My name is Morgan. I recently attended a private Bible study with my girlfriend where they're showing your videotapes, your tape series. I've had many problems fitting into any religion because nobody ever seems to have my answers. When I watched your tapes, they answered more than I thought possible, but there is still so many questions left to ask. I just want to thank you and possibly get more information about your studies, your seminar, and so forth. Maybe I can learn more than I thought I could. Much of what you say could help the world's understanding if it was mainstream information. Maybe sometime I can attend your seminar and learn more about dinosaurs and lies in the textbook. Please send me information about your studies. We did that. Send them a catalog. By the way, you can get one of those free of charge, or go to the website, drdino.com, where we've got a ton of information on there. It says, I would be greatly appreciative. One more thing, I heard a news story about earthquakes were found in a small canyon, in the Grand Canyon, in small amounts. And they believe that maybe being an earthquake fault was one of the factors of the canyon's creation. Just thought any information was helpful. Interesting, Morgan. Thank you. There's no question the Colorado River did not form the Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon, the top of Grand Canyon is higher than both ends. Okay, the rivers don't flow uphill. No river flows uphill. So the Grand Canyon had to be is a washed-out spillway at minimum, and possibly a fault, an earthquake. I've heard that for years. It's been tossed around. Here's one from Mark Roman, who writes, Dr. Hovind, just a letter thanking you for the great information your ministry provides. I'm a Navy medical officer currently deployed in Africa for 6 months. I will return to my home and base in Jacksonville, Florida sometime in March. I, too, have the desire to teach creation science as a ministry. I've been studying and researching for the past 3 years. Hopefully I can start soon. I was retiring from the Navy in 18 months. I was teaching creation in a home Bible study group and I was leading before I was deployed to Africa. I attend the Vineyard Christian Fellowship in Jacksonville. I have your entire teaching and debate series on DVD with me here in Africa, and I study them daily. Thank God for laptops. Amen. I agree. Mark, be lost without mine. Let's see. Along with the great Creation Science Ministries resources on the Internet, I look forward to seeing you in April in Jacksonville at Trinity Baptist College. Keep up the good work. Sincerely, Mark. Well, thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. We get thousands and thousands of testimonies. Folks, our ministry exists to strengthen your faith in the Word of God. If you're a believer, we want to help strengthen that faith. Number 2, if you're not saved, we want to get you saved. That's why we're doing this. Number 3, if you're saved and you're not doing much for the Lord, then we want to make you uncomfortable. That's the goal we have in mind. Okay, let me go to some of the anti-Hovind websites. We've been trying to answer some of the critics out there. It's been years. I just basically have ignored them. I got too much to do. But we thought we'd take a week or so and go through some of them. Then if we get time, we have the radio questions folder that keeps getting thicker and thicker. People send in radio questions. If you have an AOL Instant Message you want to send us, you can do that. Go to our website. Or go to, I got it right in front of me, Jonathan. Let's see, Dr. Dino Live. Screen name, Dr. Dino Live. Okay. And you can get to us there. They give me all these cue notes right under the camera. No, that's not it. Oh, the 2003 seminars are online. A little grainy, but they're there. And we're fixing that? Putting less grainy? Okay. We're downgraining them. Okay. Whatever you call that. Good. Here we have, I've been answering a couple of the anti-Hovind websites, and if you type in Kent Hovind, you'll find, oh man, there are a lot of anti-Hovind websites here. This is one that comes up a lot. I've got several things in my hand here to try to answer here. About the, here's 2001 by Dave Thomas. Is Dave Thomas the one with the New Mexicans? New Mexicans for Science and Reason. He's the one that they're claiming I refuse to debate, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, okay, that's on this other one. Dr. Hovind refuses to debate. Here it is. Well, I'll start with this one. This is critics. What's this one from, Jonathan? You got all these printed off of these on one page. These are from just a variety of websites, common. Okay. Does Dr. Hovind have a PhD? Here's a question. Well, I will answer that in the last broadcast. Yes, I do. Doctorate in philosophy, and got it from Patriot University. They no longer offer a PhD, and they only have 3 graduates a year in the PhD program when they had it. Of course, many programs only have 1 graduate a year, 1 graduate a decade in a doctor program. It's not a big deal. And it's from a non-accredited school. So Jonathan searched non-accredited colleges and universities. Where do you find this on the Internet, Jonathan? What? Michigan.gov. Michigan.gov has a list. There's over 50 to a page, so there's about 600 universities and colleges on this list that are unaccredited. Accredited simply means somebody recognizes you for whatever reason. And obviously, you can take a look at the people I've debated on debates on evolution. Just because you get a degree from an accredited school still doesn't mean you know anything. Obviously, anybody who came from a rock certainly needs some help. So here's a Michigan.gov, about 600 universities, colleges around the country that are not accredited. Patriot University. Are they on the list, Jonathan? Did you find them?
No.
This is just some of them. Okay. There are hundreds and hundreds of non-accredited schools. So, yes, I agree. I've always said, Patriot's not accredited. If that bothers you, don't call me doctor, call me Bubba, call me Kent, call me Hey You, and let's get back to the topic of creation evolution. But I worked pretty hard for my degree. I worked 9 years on it, and we can do that. Put that on there, Don. Okay, here's the next article. Dr. Hovind refuses to debate the New Mexicans for Science and Reason. NMSR.org. And I quote from Dave Thomas, who has another one here, Dave Thomas. We'll get to that in a second. Well-known creation scientist Kent Hovind touts his unsatisfied $250,000 challenge to anyone who can prove evolution as evidence for creationism. Dave, you got it wrong already. I don't offer evidence for those who can prove evolution as evidence for creationism. That's not what the offer says. You need to read that again. Anyway, the challenge is rigged, of course. For example, since the Big Bang is part of evolution, Hovind argues you'll have to produce an actual Big Bang to get the award. Hovind also tours the country preaching creationism to large crowd. Let me stop right here and say, Dave, you need to change this. It's creation, okay? The ism, the ISM, goes on evolution. It's evolutionism, not creationism. And many people, creationists even fall for this. They allow the evolutionists to say it's evolution versus creationism. There you go, Eric. Thanks for joining us. Unplug your line because your speaker was still on. I didn't know how to shut the thing off. So,
smarter than the computer.
well, I hit all the down buttons on there, and it didn't do it. No. And I was busy since I was on the air. It was making noise. So you figure out what to do with that. Okay. After you shut the sound off. Okay. So Dave writes and says it's creationism. And Dave, you got that wrong. It's creation, and it's evolutionism. Like communism, Marxism, socialism, Nazism, evolutionism. You know, all kind of fit in the same category. Put the ism on the evolution. You do that when you speak, Eric? That's fine, isn't it? Evolutionism. Okay. Hovind argues you have to produce an actual Big Bang to get the award. Let's see. Hovind is constantly challenging evolutionists to debate at these evangelism sessions. Ken Hovind has been challenged to a real debate, capital R-E-A-L, a scientific debate in the pages of this newsletter on the World Wide Web. Well, Dave, I don't know that your newsletter is a real scientific forum, or this would be a real scientific debate. But I'll tell you what, just for you, Dave, I will fly to New Mexico at my expense. Well, it won't cost you a dime. I'll even pay you $200 if you'll debate me in front of any university in New Mexico. You just let me know when and where, and I'll make a hole in the schedule, and we'll find a way to get there if possible. It has to be midweek, probably, because my weekends are booked for about the next 4 billion years. But come as quick as I can. So, Dave, I don't have time for an email debate and no interest in, but I've been open for any debate on the creation evolution topic in front of any university where it can help the students. So I've not refused to debate. I've consistently refused to debate an email debate, but it's open, public challenge. Never have I refused one of those that I know of on the creation evolution topic. If somebody wants to debate me on, the merits of underwater basket weaving, I wouldn't debate on that because I don't know how to do that. All right. So this is not correct, Dave. I take this page down about the refusing to debate. You're misleading people here at best. And then Dave also has the is this from Dave also, the anti-evolution? Yeah, I think it all is. It's not, this is on the same thing about it. He writes, the best and worst of 2001. Okay, Dave, go ahead. It's okay. You're listening to the program 25 seconds later. This is going to confuse your little brain. So I'm good. Okay. Because there's a delay going through all the electronics, and you're getting it 20 seconds later. And then by the time it actually registers in the brain, it might be... Never mind. He says, Dave Thomas writes, now that's credibility award goes to Arkansas State Representative Jim Holt, who sponsored House Bill 2548, an obvious attempt to get creationism back into schools.
Is that what it was? It was definitely not that. Not at all.
Here is the bill, word for word. I helped Jim Holt write this bill. Jim Holt sent it to me, actually, and had me go through it, helped him do a few things, add a few things, delete a few things. There is no mention that I can recall of creation in the bill. This is not a bill to get creation into the schools. Let me read it to you, Dave, since apparently you didn't get a chance to read this. And, this is the bill, okay? HB 2548 from, what's the date here? Regular session of 2001. It doesn't have an actual date on it. Anyway. It says, by representatives, and it lists a whole bunch of names here who are sponsoring the bill. For an act to be entitled, an act to prohibit state agencies and other public entities from using tax dollars to purchase or distribute material that they know or should have known contains or presents as factual information which has been proven false or fraudulent. And for other purposes, subtitle, an act to prohibit state agencies and other public entities from using tax dollars to purchase or distribute material that they know or should have known contains or presents as factual information which has been proven false or fraudulent.
Sounds like a good thing to me.
This is a bill to say you can't use tax dollars to buy materials that are going to teach things that have been proven wrong. The bill never mentions creation. It never mentions evolution. This is not an anti-evolution bill. This is not a bill to get creation into the schools. I don't know how you can miss that, Dave, okay? But it's only like 3 pages, okay? Read it. If you can't handle it, call me. I'll read the whole thing to you. It doesn't mention creation. It doesn't mention evolution. So, you're misinformed at best, or you're lying at worst, okay? This is not an attempt to get creation into schools, as he says. Is this off his website? Yeah, okay. Holt obtained the testimony of Kent Hovind in hearings on the bill. Many of the HB 2548's statements about fraud in science textbooks can be directly traced to the religious tract Big Daddy produced by Jack Chick Tracts. That's right, a comic book. A columnist, Don Michael of Northwest Arkansas Times, wrote, "If it isn't troubling to know your representatives voted for a bill that used a comic strip as its source, try visiting Hovind's website." Okay, the fact that a columnist writes something, any columnist can write anything. I mean, take a look at any newspaper. You see this all the time, you know. And this is, you're either, again, you're misinformed or you're deliberately lying, okay? The fact that Jack Chick wrote a comic book about the fraud and lies in the textbooks does not mean that the bill got the facts from the comic book. The fact is, the things mentioned in this bill are lies. They are used in textbooks.
If things mentioned are true, there are facts.
It's a fact that there are lies in the textbooks. And the bill was simply to get the lies out of the textbooks. Don't lie to the kids. Like, don't teach them that, I guess, all the language that they've got from all this whereas and everything else. Let's get a section on carbon dating, okay? Don't teach the theory that fossils represent missing links between life forms. It cannot be proven that the fossils had any offspring. That's true.
Yeah.
It is incorrect to have a textbook say, this fossil proves that it's a missing link or an intermediate between one kind and another, because you don't know that that fossil represents an animal that had any kids. All you know is it died. Okay, left its bones behind. It's got a section on potassium-argon dating, rubidium strontium dating, of the different so-called cavemen that have all been proven false. Haeckel's embryos, proven false in 1874 by Professor William Hiss. Ernst Haeckel was convicted of fraud for this in 1874. Human embryos never have gills, not even rudimentary gill slits. Take the gill slits out of the book. So Jack Chick wrote a comic book called Big Daddy, and then later he asked me if I would update it. The comic's been out for years. No, this is incorrect. It's either totally misinformed or deliberately lying, Dave, to say that the information comes from a comic book. The comic book contains some of the same information because they're both right. The bill is right. The comic book is right. I'm right. In my seminar, there are things that are used to support evolution that are wrong. We'll talk about this after the break. All right, folks, welcome back to the Creation Science Hour. We are getting the A.L. Williston messages, and we'll take a few of those, and we want to stay on the Hovind websites as long as we can here. Try to straighten out some of these guys that either can't read or can't think, and we'll help them.
From My Savior, 1980, he's wondering about getting in touch with George Norrie, the guy who took over Coast to Coast Art Bell Show.
Yes.
It's on very late, I believe at night, isn't it? Middle of the night.
Middle of the night.
Evidently, he's looking for people to be on the show, and he wants, if people email producer@coasttocoastam.com, then there's a possibility we can get on the air again. That'd be wonderful.
I've been on there twice. I'd love to go on again. Producer at what?
Producer@coasttocoastam.com.
Coasttocoastam.com. Used to be the Art Bell Show. I think it still is Art Bell Show, but anyway. Art has retired, and George Norrie telling me he'd like to hear Kent Hovind on there. I've been on twice. It's on from like midnight to 4 in the morning. It's crazy. Remember first time? You were in high school.
Oh, yeah. Woke us up in the middle of the night, said, "Hey, Eric, get out of here." Just gave out the phone numbers, and all the phone lines lit up.
I talked from 1 till 3 in the morning, and I thought, I do a lot of radio programs, and I thought, nobody's listening to this. Finally, Art Bell said, "Would you like to give out your phone number so people can get your catalog?" I said, "Sure." So I gave out the phone number, and I'm sitting there in the office, and it is 3 in the morning. You got like 6 lines, and all of them lit up. There's nobody there to answer. So we went to a break or something. I went and woke up my wife, my daughter, and Eric, and other son, and I said, "Get out and answer the phone." The phone rang incessantly for almost 3 weeks.
Yeah, that was right.
So they hung it up and rang again, So
if you'd like to put us through that again, just go to the email producer@coasttocoastam.com. Tell them to have Kent Hovind on there, and we'll be happy to do that. Anyway, that's the message from how in the world, I don't know what in the world is screaming this, but you're wondering about rumors of Darwin becoming a Christian on his deathbed. That has not been confirmed. We've heard that as well. But there is absolutely no confirmation of that. We don't think you can know that. Some people say, don't teach that. You can't say that for sure. No, but we don't know the truth, do we?
We died before I was born, quite a while.
Me too.
Matter of fact, before anybody alive today was born. So
we don't know.
apparently, his wife or somebody made up the rumor about him repenting, but I don't think there's any way to chase that one down for sure now. I don't use the story.
Christian in Iowa, thank you for writing in. He's wondering if the seminars that are going to be appearing on Sky Angel are going to be newer than the ones that he's already got on DVD. His are 2 years old.
Oh, yes. We've redone the whole series this year. Derek, you've been working on the DVDs. They're all redone. New 2003 edition. Online.
Yeah,
the grainy ones.
Online?
The grainy ones.
Oh, the grainy ones.
They're a little grainy, yeah. But you can hear it.
No, they're great. It does a great job of showing.
So they're going to degraininate them or whatever they do to make them a little better resolution. But then we got to have a T1 line. We got to get a T1 line stretcher or something, don't we, to make it bigger? Just wax it. Just wax it so it goes. Yeah, we're not going to get a T3 line. You know what we pay for that T1?
No, OC3.
Is that
OC3?
OC3? Is that as big as you can get?
New York? We don't want. And it costs more?
I would imagine that would cost.
We don't have one. We don't want one. Okay, so Dave, you're saying that I got the information for House Bill 2548 from a comic book. This is incorrect, okay? Now, the bill was defeated, he says. Let me explain why. I went and testified before the Arkansas House Representatives Committee that was considering this bill. There were 20 representatives. I spoke for 45 minutes. I went through point by point everything in the bill, and I said, folks, this is correct. Mr. Holt is right when he wrote this bill, that the following items are fraudulent. And so we went through point by point. When I got all done, a woman from the ACLU.
Definitely not a lady.
ACLU is the American Communist Lawyers Union. She got up and said, this is obviously an anti-evolution bill, which is what somebody else called it on here. Here we go, right here. The anti-evolution bill.
There it is.
Dave, or whoever, anybody, there's probably 10 websites, the anti-Hovind sites that have this in there, right?
So they all do.
They probably all do. The evolution is not mentioned in this bill. This is not an anti-evolution bill. Matter of fact, the bill itself, you just printed this off of an atheist website, didn't you? Do you remember where it was? It doesn't come out on here. Atheist.org or... Anyway, you can come down with that if you don't believe me, but you can get the actual bill as it was voted on. Here's what happened. Evolution's not mentioned, creation's not mentioned, so quit calling it an anti-evolution bill. It was a bill to require accuracy in textbooks. Don't lie to the kids. I testified for 45 minutes and said this bill is correct. There are lies in the textbooks that ought to be banned. And this woman from the ACLU got up and said, this is an anti-evolution bill. And the representative said, ma'am, evolution is not mentioned in this bill. And she said, everything you have in here listed is used as evidence for evolution. And the representative said, well, ma'am, is it true that these things are proven false? And she got kind of fidgety, and she said, well, yes, but this is an anti-evolution bill. He said, ma'am, if the stuff is proven false, take it out of the book. Why would we want to pay for lies in the textbook? SkepticFriends.org, you can print out the bill. And the folks at SkepticFriends.org ought to wise up, read the bill yourself. It's not an anti-evolution bill. It's an anti-lie bill. Okay? Don't lie to the kids. And if you're still supporting a lie to support your theory, wise up. You've been fooled. Okay? The Bible says the Satan is the father of lies. And he's laughing at you for believing him. Anyway, after the ACLU got done testifying, or struggling through their testimony for like 15 minutes, they went out and got several other ACLU lawyers, and they went around, and for the next 3 days, before the bill came for a vote, they lobbied those congressmen so hard, 12 of them were scared to vote. They knew the bill was right, they knew it was the right thing to do, but they were scared to vote, so they took a walk. And the bill missed passing by 6 votes.
Yeah, they make it sound like, it failed the first time, and then it sound like it was a really bad bill and a really stupid bill. That was a great bill. They did what they chose not to move on.
They took a walk, and you ought to find out who your representatives were that chose to take a walk, and they're more scared of the ACLU than doing what's right, and they ought to get a new job to compete because they're changing tires and get a representative in there that has some backbone. It doesn't care what anybody thinks. I'm going to do what's right. That's, wow. This would be a different world. That would be a different world. If congressmen and representatives had that attitude, I'm going to do what's right. We need some statesmen, not politicians. Politics. You know what politics is? Poly means many, and a tick is a blood-sucking animal. So you get many blood-sucking animals together, that's politics. Wow. Okay? Amen. Got a pretty play. Okay. Here we go. This was on page 4. The Anti-Evolution Bill. In March 2001, Representative Jim Holt of Arkansas introduced an anti-evolution bill, HB 2548. We just did. I'm just pointing out, this is another website that's saying it's an anti-evolution bill. You need to fix this, guys. It's not an anti-evolution bill. It's an anti-lie bill. Okay? Worse, Tim Holt invited his good friend, Dr. Ken Hovind, known as Dr. Dino, a young earth creationist from Pensacola, Florida, to help him draft this bill and give testimony to his fellow House members. Holt was later criticized for this in a blistering editorial in the Northwest Arkansas Times because none of the legislators in the House bothered to check on Dr. Dino's wacky, madcap credentials beforehand. Okay. I don't know which website this is from, but they're missing the whole point. Okay, I do have a doctor's degree from an unaccredited university. I've said that many times. And if you don't like it, fine. Call me Ken, call me Bubba, call me you. But the fact that somebody writes a blistering editorial means nothing. There are blistering editorials written about everybody that's ever tried to do anything, good or bad, okay? There are blistering editorials against Ronald Reagan and against Bill Clinton. And maybe not Bill Clinton, the media loves Bill Clinton. But I'm sure there are blistering editorials. And the fact that there's an editorial written by somebody, that's not proving anything, okay? You need to wise up, get that off your website. Here we go. From home.comcast, comcast.net/tilde, and then F. Steiger, letter F, and then STEIGER/Ken Hovind. Okay. These are sarcastic remarks after attending one of my seminars. Hovind has discovered a cure for cancer. The vitamin B17 deficiency causes cancer just like vitamin C deficiency causes scurvy. Taking B17 plus C will cure your cancer. See CancerAnswer.com or RollWithoutCancer.com. Well, he meant this to be sarcastic because I didn't discover a cure for cancer. God told us in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, eat the fruit, the vegetables, and the seeds. The seeds contain vitamin B17. Your sister, my daughter, has a husband named Paul who was given very serious cancer just a year ago. Took a bunch of vitamin B17 and a whole bunch of other vitamins and chemotherapy, decided to go that way, and is absolutely perfectly fine. He's back up to 220. He's back up to his original weight. 6'2", excellent shape, and he runs our shipping department here, so it works, okay? You can go to apricotfromgod.com and see many testimonies there of people who have been cured by taking vitamin B17. So, yes, I didn't discover the cure, though. You got this wrong on your website. Here, Hovind says, the whiter the bread, the quicker you're dead, because white bread lacks vitamin E and lecithin. True, I'm guilty. I do say that. Seminar part 2, if you'd like to watch that. It's not that the bread kills you. It's that what you're not getting that kills you. You get heart problems, circulatory problems from lack of vitamin E, lecithin, and omega-3 fatty acids. That is a biological fact. If you run your car low on oil, you will have problems with it. Okay? The main bearings will seize up, the rod bearings will seize up, and pistons will seize to the cylinder walls. And there are all kinds of bad problems you don't want to into. I would hope. And if you run your body low on vitamins, different things happen. There are 16 vitamins, 3 oils, and 60 minerals your body needs just a little bit of every single day. If you don't get up, something goes in. This is sarcastic remark number 3. Adam and Eve are vegetarians, which is one reason why they live so long, 900 plus years. Guilty. I say that, and I agree. I think there's probably one. I'm not a vegetarian. You don't have to be a vegetarian, but the Bible does say they were vegetarians in Genesis chapter 1, verse 9. Number 4. Hovind, sarcastic remark. Pica stones from Peru show clear drawings of dinosaurs indicating that man and dinosaurs lived together. Do we have the Ica stones? We had them the other day. We took them back to the museum. They were in the museum pretty much. Okay, they're still in the museum. We have 4 of the Ica stones. Dennis Swift from Beaverton, Oregon, has been to Peru many times and has studied the Ica stones more than anybody I know, and he's coming to speak at our conference. You can contact him. Jonathan, do you have Dennis Swift? He's linked on our website. Dennis Swift. He's in Beaverton, Oregon. He pastors a Nazarene church there. We're working on that. We're going to get back to spiritual work, but I talked to him yesterday, as a matter of fact, for quite a while. And he's been having, I'm going to speak at his Northwest Creation Conference in February. If you live up in the Portland area, come on over to that conference. I'll be there for that one. Lord willing. So yes, I agree. I'm guilty. The Ica stones in Peru show dinosaurs and people living together. I'm guilty of that one. Number 5. In ancient literature, they were called dragons. They were actually dinosaurs. The way they killed the dragons in the T-Rex was to pull off their arm and let them bleed to death. He says, I would like to see Ken Hovind try to pull the arm off a T-Rex. I got a misspelling in here, by the way, go to this website. Pull the arm off a T-Rex. What I do in my seminar, I say that the Beowulf story says that he pulled off the arm and the creature bled to death. And then I show a picture of the Babylonian cylinder seal where somebody is pulling the arm off a dragon. It's a Babylonian cylinder seal published in 600 BC. So that's, I'm showing the historical facts. The Bible story does say that. The Babylonian cylinder seal does show that. What's the big deal? I don't know if that's how they did it or not. I've never done it. But I do something to teach the historical facts about the ancient literature. Number 6. The Bible mentioned the Bible is a fire-breathing dragon. I'm going to teach that. So I'm going to part 1. The Green Series teach. Noah's Ark probably had a moon pool in it with 12 anchors to hold it down. Noah was 12 feet tall. Noah's Ark was located in a burial site in Turkey, just asked by a wall who has iron rivets from it. I don't recall God telling Noah to use rivets, but they must have been better than the ones on the Titanic. Well, it's interesting, the Titanic was built by professionals and the Ark was built by amateurs. That's what I was doing. Without a building permit, I know it's Ark. Wow. We're taking 400 years to build it. Okay, fine. Number 8, we should not have public schools. Oh, boy. What I say in the seminar, you got to be careful the way you word things. Like I say, you just barely change a little wording. I'm very careful when I'm speaking this. I do not say we should not have public schools. I'll say the question to consider is, should we have public schools? Right. My brother's in his 34th year teaching public school. When they were on Central High School, great Christian, loves the Lord, led me to the Lord. Good guy, great teacher. Gets all kinds of awards, being the best teacher ever. My mother taught for years, retired from Christian public school, for many good teachers. Dan's best friend, he was in public school, principal for administrator for a family. I had to go for 16 years. Sometimes he was just teaching, sometimes he was administrator, but Dan works here, called Dan Woods, and I minister. There are many good godly teachers that love the Lord that work in the public school system. So, but still, I think and I mentioned in the seminar, from a constitutional perspective, the federal government should not be involved in education whatsoever. Or half the other stuff they're involved in. That's different than saying that we should not have public school. I just simply say we should ask the question, should we have public school? It's time to start thinking about that. Okay, number 9. Darwin has been disproved at darwindisproved.com. Let me tell you the story on this one. I'm going into a seminar, I think it was Philadelphia. I don't remember where. That's Beagle Abbott. This guy walks in, so I go, and have you seen the website, darwindisproved.com? He said, no. He said, go to check it out. It shows, they just found these fossils, and it proves that, man and dinosaurs were together, and Darwin has been disproved. I said, oh, that's interesting. So that night, I'm speaking on the seminar, and question answer period, I believe it was, came up, and somebody said, what about Darwin? I forget what the question was anyway. I said, well, I was just handed this note. They said there's a new website called darwindisproved.com. And is that still in there? I think it still is in there. Darwin, just check that out, guys, and see if can you do that? I'll send it next to Thanks for saying today. Thomas again, there we go. Okay. Move. Okay. If you're looking for that rascal, can't Hovind, what's a good life we can find? Okay. Hot news of the week for December 12th. I'm in there again. They called in the program, okay, I'll come to New Mexico and debate all the professors with help or anything like that. On 2 conditions. I get off the time, and we talk about one topic at a time. Simple. Okay. So, I mentioned that now because I guess we just handed this note saying darwindisproved.com is a website you should check out. Another story. This started blasting me because the darwindisproved.com is a joke website to make fun of creationists. It shows a fossil of a dinosaur just about to bite a human and they're both fossilized or something, if I recall. I've never seen the site. They just was handing me this note walking in. Probably they did it as a setup so that they could, make another link on the website. Anyway, so I did mention it. Never mentioned it again. Mentioned it one time. And they're still on the internet, I would guess 4 or 5 years later, saying that I was taken in by an April Fool's joke. You're mistaken. I wasn't taken in by the joke. I simply said, I was handed this note. This is a website to go check out. I didn't know this was it. Some 12 years ago, I thought, I don't think you knew that. I'm not going to telephone. Yeah, you got a mic right there. On the soundboard there. They're so desperate, anything Jesus said, they would use it for years and years, and twist it. Not saying they twisted Jesus' words. Okay, we're talking about 2 answers. And we're going to do that one. April, I'll look over these other ones here.
Hellbound no more, this guy's name. And his question is about the giant sloth that might still be alive in China. He said many people have heard it, and most of all smelled it. Now, the paper break will tell you about this right after the break.
Giant sloth. DrRandall.com. Hang on there, folks. We'll be back. Folks, welcome back to the Creation Science Hour. This is the final segment. Let's finish. What was the question about the giant sloth in China?
Yeah, giant sloth. Let's see, hellbound no more. Right, heard about a giant sloth that might still be alive in China. Many people have heard it, and most of all smelled it. They say they shot it with a high-powered rifle, and they can't bring it down. They can't kill it. A scientist says if you look at an example of experiments, rocks and other things stuck in its fur, so it makes it bulletproof. Interesting.
It is true that sloths get all kinds of stuff in their fur. Sloths apparently are not real bright, okay? And they even turn green sometimes from mold on their fur. They don't shower too often. They smell like anything. As far as the giant sloth, I've not heard of the one in China. I have heard of them in far tip of South America called Patagonia. In fact, when I believe it was even Darwin, or when some of the explorers went around to the tip of South America, they stopped in Patagonia, and it was in Darwin. Somebody criticized me for that. So I said, I believe I don't remember. I read the story. But some of the explorers stopped there in the 1800s, and the natives had actual giant fur, like capes they would wear in the cold, made out of the giant sloth. And they said, oh, yeah, some of the animals are still alive. They would raise them in caves, like they would bears or something, or animals, cows, for their food. There are many stories from the 1800s. There are none in this century that I'm aware of. This will be the first one I'm not aware of. If there is any more about it, let me know. I've not heard of that. If you want to AOL us and message us, go to drrandalllive.com, or drrandalllive, just rename. You go to drrandall.com as our website. Or you can call in, by the way. Phone system is working. Secretary's on there trying to get the Christmas packages ordered and out as quick as possible. But you can still call in if you'd like. 850-479-DINO or 877-479-DINO if you're in the U.S. One more thing, we'll go back to the websites.
And lastly, the 1998 Hello Dr. Who, my question for you today is with all the evidence that is out there proving the dinosaurs, dragons, lived with man and may have been used for everyday living. We even showed the Ica stones that show different kinds of dinosaurs that we know of. Why can't they get past the mental block until we might be wrong?
The first question is, why can't the evolutionists say that we're wrong about the dinosaurs? Well, you can't just say, okay, evolution's wrong. Because then you're left with a void. Well, how did we get here? The only other option is somebody created the world. And you can't just start accepting the creation story because that brings lots of baggage. See, if the creation story is true, there was a creator. If there's a creator, there may be some rules. That's what they're running for. They don't like there to be a guy telling them what to do.
So the question here is it possible, last in 1980, is it possible that Noah used the dinosaurs and other animals to help build the ark?
Possible. Don't know. Dinosaurs, most reptiles are not real bright. It's pretty hard to find out pretty much of anything. Okay. They may have had great strength and been able to do something, but how to train a dinosaur, I don't know. All right. Then we're doing one on our climbing wall, showing dinosaurs doing, so that's good. Really good. It's good. Yeah, they're good. But that's your question.
Then I heard once that the ark was an example of Christ. It would have three levels to it: Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And most people overlook when it says that God told Noah to get in the ark, so God was in the ark.
Yeah, the Lord said, come into the ark. He didn't say, go into the ark. Fascinating. And later, again, he thought he said, go out of the ark. He was in the ark. The type of Christ, I think that's probably true. There's many typologies in the Bible, but you have to be careful. You can get carried away in that subject. You can see the typology and everything. Okay, a couple more of the sarcastic comments about Ken Hovind Seminar I found on home.com/Toby/F/Ken Hovind. One of the early websites and anti-Hovind websites that we decided to answer a few. Okay, he says, Hovind says, a hyperbaric chamber can heal you and bring giants like before Noah's flood, where there were 2 times the oxygen and pressure. This is incorrect, okay? I do think hyperbarics have a great healing potential, and thousands of people involved in hyperbaric treatments right now. Hyperbaric chambers all over the country. There's a big one in Pensacola, Florida. The Navy's used them for years to heal sailors who go down and get scuba divers who go down and get the beds. You can go to hyperbaric.com. There's a whole list on our website of links about hyperbarics. Hyperbaric.com, go to the next section. And as far as them making you grow giants like before Noah's flood, this is incorrect. I think I'll say this in my seminar, I think we are genetically inferior. And if I give you 500 chihuahuas and say, here, I want you to crossbreed these until you get a great dog, it's not going to happen. The genes are gone from bigness. By the time you get a chihuahua, all these generations of raising chihuahuas, there's a lot of stuff gone out of the gene pool. Chihuahuas are swimming in the shallow end of the gene pool. They spend all that time to produce a dog that is 100% useless. Not too bad, but that's okay. They're good. Our Canardi is the best. Nicky. Nicky. And the Nicky could only tell what kind of dog he was. So when he died, Eric had the brilliant idea that my wife rejected. And I went, oh yeah, I wanted to stop the bees on back for 13 years. I thought, why in the world am I going to throw away a perfectly good dog? Put him in the museum. Exactly. This dog's a part of my life. Couldn't talk my name to it. And my daughter is still be a friend. Just got, understand. We can read the John's good. Okay, what we John can make an erotic film. Okay, so I do not say that hyperbaric chambers would grow giants. I don't say that. I'm not going to get over Colonel Ball, who's coming to speak at our Southeast Creation Conference. So he has several hyperbaric chambers, and knows a great deal about it. He raised fruit flies in his hyperbaric chamber, and they live 10 times longer than normal. Almost 40 years ago. No, it was a long time. Fruit flies don't live real long. Colonel Ball's website is creationevidence.org. Creationevidence.org. Right. How do you get that right? Yeah, okay. So I do not say that hyperbaric chambers will make a person grow to be a giant. Whoever wrote this website is a mistake and a little liar, okay? He says, this was confirmed by scientists who studied air bubbles in Greenberg. I do cover that. Time magazine, November 9, 1987. Page 82 has an article about air bubbles in air contain 30% more oxygen than we have today. That's what I say in my seminar. And I say, I think the pre-flood world probably had greater oxygen concentration and greater air pressure. I do say that. I do believe that. Then I say in my seminar, it's a sarcastic remark here, Dr. Mori in Japan grew tomato plant 40 feet high, yielding 15,000 tomatoes. That is correct. I do say that, and it's true. For the football player, this is from a player from K. I saw Terrell Owens, who's a football player in the 49ers. He said that he uses a hyperbaric chamber to help him recover. Many players have one. Have a hyperbaric chamber. Yeah, almost. Right, because they feel constant, simple biological fact. Number 11, sarcastic comment. The King James Version is the only reliable translation. The King James translates the first day in Genesis 1 and not one day or day 1. One needs to look at the Hebrew. The cardinal number 1 is used as opposed to the ordinal number first, as in the rest of the chapter. There is no definite ordinal in the Hebrew. The point I'll say in my seminar is the King James translators said the first day, and they got it right. In Hebrew, it's actually day 1, day 2, day 3. And some of the newer translations have changed it to say 1 day instead of day 1. There's a vast difference between 1 day and day 1. It seems kind of a bit different. Think about it. So yes, the King James, I believe, is ever a reliable translation. I wouldn't trust any other translation. I wouldn't even defend one in the debate. There are serious flaws in the other translations. However, it took me 35 years to get to this point. So I'm patient with people who are, using other translations. I did for years. I had a whole shelf of them. And it's some here and a whole shelf over there. There's a whole shelf over here, different translations. So there's a bunch, so there's a bunch up here. I revised some standard version as though not that you guys out there can see it. So these are good. You can talk some about it. These anyway, so you can't see it. Get on the radio when we didn't see it. But you're hearing the radio. Yes, I have slowly come to the position, after much study on the topic, that the King James is God's preserved word in English. But if you're not in that position yet, you keep studying, you'll get there. Okay. Number 12, warning. Satan may be driving around in a UFO. Okay, this one is from my frequently asked question about making a seminar. Somebody said, what do you think about UFOs? I gave of different books by, let's see, here's someplace I can find it. 40 shelves of books here. I mentioned that Sandale wrote a book on UFO. Sandale has been on the show many times. And many people have written books about UFO. Well, they say there are several conclusions. One is they're top secret government experiments. Nobody knows about it yet. Two is the most obvious one is they're misidentified. They saw weather balloon and swamp gas or too much vodka the night before. Three is that they're demonic. And I just say, I don't know what they are. These are the theories. If they're demonic, then it could be demons or Satan is using this as a means of rapid transportation because they can't be more than one place at a time, whereas God is all places at all times. So, I do not say that underground's a UFO. I do say I don't know what they are, and these are the theories. That's what it's supposed to work. Okay, we're not going to get all through. Well, I'll do a few minutes. 4 minutes or whatever. I know it's my regular reading is long because moon rocks on different dates, and I cover all this. I agree. The digging is wildly wrong. See my seminar part 7. Life is slowing down. So much for E equals mc squared. He writes in here, there's no scientific evidence to support this contention. See creation at speed of light, organic number, or whatever. Well, there is plenty to support the speed of light. There's a book. You probably do with the number. It looks like that. What's his name? Just came out here recently. I love the speed level. Come on there. Speed of light. I'm listening to the shelf, and I'm too lower, I think. Not too lower. Yes, there is much evidence that the speed of light is changing and has changed over history. And there's a Discover magazine, when was it? April 2002, maybe it was September 2003. An article about was Einstein wrong for Discover magazine, September 2003, I believe. We'll cover that in seminar part 7 of our next series. Okay, he says, I'm talking about it now. Faster than the speed of light, book came out. Of course, the guy gets ostracized saying this can't be true. But there's much evidence that the speed of light is not a constant. Okay, number 15. There was no continental drift, no Pangea. You're confusing us there. I agree there was no Pangea. As far as continental drift, I don't think there's any question the continents are moving. But does that prove they've been moving for millions of years? Is what I say on seminar part 6. He says, number 16, we only use 10% of our brains. This is probably true about Hovind. I said in my seminar that Einstein said we probably use 10% of our brains. I was quoting Albert Einstein, and that is what he said. We probably use 10% of our brains. And it's probably true. Many of us only use much less. And that students use much less than that. Much less. Number 17, dinosaurs are alive and well on planet Earth. Someone saw a yellow dinosaur with a beard. There are many reports of pterodactyls flying around Papua New Guinea. They glow in the dark. Yes, I wrote glow in the dark. Just ask Carl Ball, who has been there. True, by the way. The natives report the creature has bioluminescence and probably something living in its fur or skin. If it hangs in caves all day without flies on the ground, there's something on it that makes it glow, because it's got glow to it. A fisherman caught a small dinosaur in Lake Erie near Ohio. It's now in the Carl Ball Museum on display. This is not correct. It's never been on display. Carl Ball bought it from the guy who found it on the beach of Lake Erie and has come to get it analyzed. It's just real expensive to do DNA testing, so it's been years sitting in his museum warehouse. It's never been on display, so you need to correct your website here. We don't know what it is. It's just an interesting creature found on the beach of Lake Erie. And Hovind showed many pictures of dozens of dinosaurs. So I thought I ought to find dozens of dinosaurs in the Delaware River. Let's go ahead and look. Okay. I recommend anyone who wants a good life to go to this site. Sadly, most people are taking the 6 guys to the truth. He's got one more here I need to get on the Trail of Tears. He's putting saying on here, the Trail of Tears is where the Cherokee Indians are driven out of Chattanooga area all the way to Oklahoma. One part of the entire nation died en route. All true. Evolution is responsible for what happened to the Indians. How can any Indian believe in evolution? Just blows my mind, Hovind says. The evolution theory is what destroyed them. And before it states, this is an interesting piece of information, especially since the Trail of Tears occurred in 1830, and Darwin's Origin of Species was not published in 1859, like the Forest writes. But like the Forest, or whoever knows this, the evolution theory was out way before Darwin. Darwin just made it popular, and it is true that what happened to the Indians is a result of the belief that they were inferior species. It was the evolution theory. Charles Darwin's grandfather, Erasmus Darwin, wrote about evolution, wrote a poem about it. Darwin copied most of his stuff and never gave back what he felt at all. So, yes, the Indians are